All right, I'm here today with Mary Janet Fowler, who will be presenting at this summer's Fairy Congress, July 21 through 25, near Salem, Oregon. And I'm so excited. I've actually known Mary Janet kind of remotely for a number of years because we've both been involved in R.J. Stewart's work. But I'm wondering, how did you first become involved with the fairy realm?
Well, I guess you could sort of say from birth. I grew up in New Mexico, and at a very amazingly early age, my mom just turned me loose out in the canyons and mountains, and I roamed around there the whole time I was growing up. And of course, there's lots of Native Americans in my part of the state, and we went to their dances and things beginning when I was quite young. And then I actually, in my 30s, studied with some Native American teachers and learned about the sacred pipe and the sweat lodge and so forth. But I always really wanted to tap into my own traditions and somehow managed to hear about this is in the early 90s by then, managed to hear about what John and Catlin Matthews and RJ Stewart were doing in Britain and went over there a couple of times to hang out with all of them. And then I took this kind of 25-year detour to the Amazon and worked seriously with ayahuasca for a long time. And of course, that brings in all kinds of beings from the land. And then we kept in touch with RJ all that time and have been back working with his path, the path that he elucidates so beautifully, full time for about the past 5 years. And um, just really resonate with it because mainly it gives voice to and puts words and practices onto what I've always felt. So,
That's great.
yeah.
Wow, that's a really diverse and rich and I guess I'm gonna say wide background. You go Native American and ayahuasca and R.J. Stewart. It's like, wow, you got all your bases covered.
Right, that's it.
Um,
Yeah.
Yeah, that's great. And so, what will you be sharing with us at the Congress this summer?
Well, I think I called it the heart behind the heart or something like that. I've always, everybody, we all know how important the heart is. Everybody talks about that. And what I began to notice is that when most people talk about the heart, even people like Thich Nhat Hanh, bless him forever, they mainly are talking about how the heart connects with other human beings. And I'm, of course, interested in that, but equally interested in how does how does the heart connect with the more than human world, both the physical more than human world and the spiritual, the unseen worlds. And I've been pondering this a lot. And I was up in the mountains in northern New Mexico, where I'm now living again, a few years ago, and suddenly felt the presence of a being, a creature, a companion creature behind me with their paw on the back of my back. And I thought, oh, what's this about? And I kind of received this was about making a blessing. Like this being was helping me, supporting me from the back to bless, to send out a blessing from my heart. And soon after that, I was actually working with RJ in a meditation, and I met another being that explained to me that we have an organ, an extra organ behind our heart that most people have totally forgotten about. I think it was the impression was maybe like in Atlantis or something. They had that organ. So that got me really interested, and I've never read anything about it, or I don't even know if anybody else thinks this way, but I'm really begun receiving some interesting input about this and how this organ, it could be like an alchemical vessel. It could be a tree or an animal. It could be an ancestor or all of those or beyond all of those. But what it mainly does is it reminds our heart of that connection with the green world that we've forgotten. And it's so interesting because, we've all forgotten it through our culture and through the way the world is now, the human supremacist world that we live in. But it's almost like we've forgotten it, even on the physical level of not remembering we have this organ. So, except I think the people like us that work with the beings and the fairies in the green world, we know that, and we're working on awakening that. So, just to put words on that and to call it that with this vocabulary that's been coming to me, that and explore that with people. That's what I'm interested in doing, is working on our own hearts and seeing what can happen when we allow this organ behind our hearts to support our hearts in sending out love for human, non-human beings, places, trees, waters, the whole green world, the whole sacred land, and how we can, how our hearts can kind of get this extra muscle to do that more and more effectively. So
Right.
it's going to be very experimental, but I thought it would be neat to try that with a group of
Yeah.
like-minded people.
Yes. Well, I think usually the crowd at the Fairy Congress is they're very in tune already. So I
Yeah,
imagine you will end up, yes, with a rich body of knowledge
yeah.
away with it with. Yeah. All right. Well, thanks so much for speaking with us today. And yeah, go to fairycongress.com to get tickets. And yeah, we're just really excited. We're at the Miller Brothers again. We were there last year. There's a
Hmm.
sweet little creek and a pond and beautiful oak trees.
Great.
It's a lovely site.
I can't wait.
So
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. Look
Thank you
forward to
too.
seeing
Thanks for
you.
having me.
Yeah.
It'll really be great.
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
I can
Okay.
say after 22 years, each year it gets better.
Great.
So after 22 years,
Well,
we're up there.
I'm honored to participate.
All right.
Yeah.
All right.
Great.
Well, thank you.
Okay. Thank